Hallöchen, Hallöchen, Hallöchen. Herzlich willkommen zur zweiten Folge 80 Days. Wir spielen das mal so ein bisschen an. Und wir sind gerade in Wien angekommen. Mit dem Orient Express und Phileas Fogg. There seem to be no departures today. We should explore a little. Ja, dann exploren wir natürlich in Wien. Und dann finden wir eine neue Route nach Warschau und nach Venedig. I had nearly forgotten my experience at the Paris Exposition, but Vienna streets reminded me full force. The Austro-Hungarian Empire's might is built upon its armies of mechanical men. They are a magnificent sight, ranged in gleaming rows along the wide Parisian-style boulevards. Their enamel uniforms shine to a polish. As I watched, I was approached by a bookish fellow who hurried out from under the impressive eagle-arched portcullis of the Zeughaus, the Imperial Armory. "You think them fantastical?" he demanded, a curious turn to his voice. "Glorious," I replied, "beautifully crafted. They are more impressive than you could imagine." He stuck out his hand. "Herr Danzer, apprentice engineer in the Imperial Kriegsorchester." We went to a cafe to talk, and once he started, he would not stop. "Have you noticed none of the mechanical soldiers carry weapons?" he hissed. "What did you make of that?" "They are strong, I suppose," I replied, disliking the turn of conversation. "Inside each one is a Mozart Haydn device, perfectly tuned," Herr Danzer replied. "The song the soldiers sing is one of devastation. A battalion in harmony can punch through a steel wall." He drew a gilded flute from his scabbard and laid it on the table, looking at it thoughtfully. "That flute is how you control them," I hazarded. He nodded sadly. "Yes, we, the Musikersoldaten, control them with our instruments. I am the finest flautist in the Vienna Kriegsorchester." He began, to my horror, to weep. I stole the flute. Nein. I patted his hand to comfort him, and he gazed at me inconsolably. "As a boy, I dreamed of joining the Artificers Guild," he confessed, voice hushed. But for someone born in this country, it's impossible. The Kaiser and the Guild are sworn enemies. The Guild, I reminded him, were politically neutral. He shook his head. "The Guild are forbidden within the Austro-Hungarian Empire. Our automata are not Guild approved. They are our own." His mouth was a cold line. "The Guild would not countenance building such monsters." Thanking him for the coffee, I strolled back along the avenues, watching the city pass by with new eyes. Under its gilded and manicured beauty lurked something sharper and more bloodthirsty. Vienna was once the city of music and the city of war. Was at once the city of music and the city of war. Wir sind jetzt organisiert, okay. So, wir können ja mal auf den Markt gucken, ob wir hier Wein verkaufen können. $2.300 in Berlin. Valuable in Moskau, Warschau und Budapest. Vielleicht sollten wir nach Berlin fahren. Musicbox. 2.900 in Natalia. Ich glaube, die nehmen wir mit. Pressure Gauge. Part of the Engineer Set. Part of the Dusty Road Set. Ne, ich glaube, wir nehmen nur die Musicbox mit. That music is delightful. Mountain Nanny used to hum. Für Elise! Wir könnten jetzt zur Bank. Komm, wir gehen mal zur Bank. "We must visit the bank," Monsieur Fogg declared. "A robbery? You have additional funds?" "I'm a gentleman. They would extend me credit if required," he replied. "But do you suppose I put my entire fortune into a carpetbag under your supervision?" I did not answer. I regarded the bank as we entered. It was a place of stone and shimmering marble floors with beautiful windows, fountains, and plants. "You wish to withdraw funds," we were told. "I warn you, it may take some time." Nee. "It will take too long," I informed the manager. We swept out of the bank. "Thankfully, our situation is not desperate," my master declared. "Onwards." Genau. So. Achso, da fahren wir jetzt mit dem Auto nach Budapest. "Merchants in Moscow will pay fantastic amounts for the absinthe from Budapest." Na, dann embarken wir mal. Okay, wir verlieren 9 Herzchen. Wo sehen wir denn überhaupt unser Herzchen? Weiß ich gar nicht. Ach, da unten. Wir fahren jetzt mit dem Private Car nach Budapest. Schade, dass wir so an Berlin vorbei sind. Da hätten wir echt Geld machen können in Berlin mit dem Wein aus Frankreich. Das hätte ich das mal vorher gewusst. We hired an oil-guzzling Bozak to take us along the open road from Vienna to Budapest. The road followed the rail tracks for much of the way, but we saw no trains as we coughed along. Relation deteriorated. Also die haben wieder ein bisschen schlechtere Beziehungen. Greetings, driver. Yes, hello. I need to know about Budapest. The Artificers Guild had no president in Budapest. Is there a route from Budapest to Belgrade? I wouldn't believe it. Is there a route from Budapest to Venice? Enough talking. Goodbye. Der war nicht so hilfreich. We arrived in the evening without incident. Das ist gut. Verlieren wir jetzt auf jeden Fall 9 oder war das nur eine Chance? Wir verlieren auf jeden Fall 9. Okay. The geometry equipment could earn us well here. We have to sleep here and explore in the morning. Okay, dann gehen wir ins Hotel. We'll pass the night here. Das tun wir. A dusty Jack Englishman at our hotel recommended a restaurant called Clemens to Monsieur Fogg. The Magyars make an excellent broth, he promised. Ominous words indeed. I had never really been one for broth. A broth is, in my humble opinion, merely an incomplete consommé, at best an inferior bouillon. Monsieur Fogg was set on the matter, however. I could not argue and decided instead to sulk genteelly in the manner of a well-trained chambermaid. We settled to dinner at Clemens, where our soups arrived in gleaming silver tureen. My master, a man of impeccably high standards, even remarked upon the tureens' flawless polish. At which point it exploded, splattering myself, Monsieur Fogg, and an extremely bewildered waiter in admittedly delicious salmon broth. A fellow diner had been struck by the edge of the tureen lid and was bleeding from the temple. I attended my master, who looked remarkably unperturbed by the entire affair. Perhaps in England, exploding entrees were commonplace. The head chef had, by this time, emerged from the kitchen. He pointed towards the wall and began a voluble rant which needed little translation. The broth had splattered in the ivory wall in the intricately curved shape of a lily, unmistakably the symbol of the Artificers Guild. I examined the ruined tureen. Right at the bottom was a tiny automaton, the size and shape of a scarab beetle. It was rather clogged with soup and a bit dented, but its metal legs were still kicking. Clearly it was responsible for the symbolically exploding soup. I pocketed it swiftly, while everyone's attention was otherwise occupied. It had the same lily etched into his hammer-thin wings. I looked around the chaos caused by a single bowl of exploding soup. I've never seen such a mess. Our waiter sighed. We will, of course, offer you reimbursement for your interrupted meal, he declared. It hardly made a difference, but I accepted nonetheless. My stomach made unseemly grumbles as we walked back along the elegantly lit and newly macadamed and dressy avenue. It would be unseemly to gloat, but I cannot resist. I knew nothing good could come of a broth. Your character is now dependable. Sehr schön. The scarab should fetch a good price in Italia, should we decide to sell it. You seem quite a handy man to have around Passepartout. Okay. Opens Monday und das macht um 7 Uhr auf, dann warten wir nochmal. Jetzt macht nämlich der Markt auf. So, können wir denn hier irgendwas toll verkaufen? 2900 in Antalya. Available here and in Izmir, Cairo and Antalya. 280. Und das verkaufen wir. Und wir nehmen den fahren über Moskau, würde ich sagen, und kaufen den Absinth. Of interest to poor, sour and soldier types. Windscarf, neck cushion. Part of the frequent flyer set. Englishman's Wardrobe. Wenn wir da was finden, dann haben wir ein Set komplett. Ich weiß nicht, was das bedeutet, aber das wäre mal gut. Oder Air Traveler wäre auch nicht schlecht. Okay, ich würde sagen, close the luggage. Dann exploren wir halt nochmal. Wir können scheinbar noch nicht wegfahren. New routes discovered. Über Belgrad. Wir müssen irgendwie über Moskau kommen. I took a few hours to explore, investigating the various options for how we might continue our journey. So, wir können ja mal gucken, dass wir planen. Nach Moskau. Wir haben keine Route nach Moskau. Das ist sehr schade. Wir haben jetzt eine Route nach Athen. Das wäre das weiteste, wie wir kommen können. Da kommen wir am Dienstag. Da sind wir in unter einer Woche. Da würden wir wieder zurückfahren. Das macht ja keinen Sinn. Wir können jetzt nach Wien und dann nach Warschau. Das wäre aber auch, dann wären wir auch das Stück hier umsonst gefahren. Ich würde sagen, dann kommen wir am Montag an. The next departure leaves tomorrow. To travel this way we might have to stay the night. Ja, okay. Tomorrow. It would appear we cannot go this way today. Nee, today können wir nicht mehr fahren. Das stimmt. Aber ich würde sagen, wir fahren nach Athen. Kann ich das nicht? Ach so, das können wir dann wahrscheinlich erst morgen planen, wenn wir noch einen Tag hier bleiben. We'll pass the night here. Dann tun wir das mal. With what remained of that day, I intended to Monsieur Fogg, ensuring he had fresh tea. Haben sich unsere Dings wieder ein bisschen verbessert. Und wir haben wieder 100 Leben. Jetzt können wir abfahren. Und ich würde sagen, das kostet 110, das kostet 96. Wir fahren direkt nach Athen durch. Und wir dürfen sogar zwei Koffer mitnehmen. Dann fahren wir mal los. Was stand da gerade noch in Rot? Ich weiß nicht. Today we turn south. The Orient Express Company ran a spur line from Budapest that swept down the length of Europe to Athens. It originally stopped midway at Belgrade. But since we had no reason to stop in Middle Europe anyway, so the lack of the station was of little consequence. Haben sich wieder unsere Beziehungen verbessert. Hopefully today we'll find something edible. Dann können wir uns auch mal unterhalten. Ach, mit der. Greetings, Madame Guard. Show me your ticket first, please. Yes, Monsieur. How can I help? Wie sieht's denn aus mit Athen? What can you tell me about Athens? My friend had a friend who helped to build aboard the Greek coastal train from Athens to Thessaloniki. Kommen wir von Athen nach Dubai. Let's just say that some buyers would pay well for evening jackets from Dubai, but answer me this, you're holiday makers? Das heißt ja. I suppose we are, yes. Let me recommend the Aegean coast. I grew up there, most beautiful. Können wir nach Ujujujujuj fahren? I hear that there's trouble between the Arabs and the Numians. Ujujujujuj. Nach Antalya? Never mind that. The quickest way to Antalya from here is to go via Izmir. Okay. Dann müssen wir 7 Routen, die im Kreis führen, gefunden. Das ist toll. So, Belgrad, da fahren wir einfach durch. Despite knowing to expect it, I could not help but gasp as we swept through the empty husk of Belgrade. It seemed home to only ghosts. It was like a perfectly preserved museum exhibit. To all appearances, one might believe there had never been people here at all. Quite what had happened, no one truly knew. The roads, houses, viaducts were all still standing, the gas lamps still burned, but not a single voice cried out, and not a door shutter moved. I asked Monsieur Fogg his thoughts, and he sighed. I fear that our age is seeing a great experimentation in warfare, much as in every other walk of life. I fear so. Indeed, he replied, but at least the trains move faster. His answer seemed to me as bleak as Belgrade itself, but as the Orient Express left behind, it carried us towards a long evening of gentle wines and candlelight, which went some way towards lightening the soul. Können wir uns nochmal unterhalten? What is your wish, master? Passepartout, there you are. Begin conversation on money. How are our funds? We're quite comfortable. Wie sieht's mit der Reise aus? How's our progress, monsieur? Day 6, I believe. Early days. Very good. Wir könnten von Athen nach Istanbul fahren. We arrived at Thessaloniki station in the northern Greece in the morning. A few passengers disembarked, but we stayed put, intending to reach Athens and then take one of the many sea routes into Turkey or Egypt. The journey to Athens took the rest of the day. I think the gauge of the rails grew narrower as it negotiated the winding cliff sides of Greece. This country appears to be entirely made of coastline. A more delightful spot I cannot imagine. We were well catered for, of course, and arrived feeling most refreshed. Verstärkte und wir sind zestful. Okay. Okay, wir sind immerhin schon mal in Athen angekommen an Tag 7. The Scarab could be sold handsomely here. Dann gehen wir nochmal auf den Markt. Aber es ist in Antalya 3100 wert. 2300 in Berlin, 5000 in Moskau. Ushanka. Gentleman's Wardrobe. Moment. Englishman's Wardrobe. Achso, verdammt. Urban Traveler. Valuable in Thessaloniki, Kairo und Novosibirsk. In Hale 7000 wert. Wir könnten, was kostet das? 160. Komm, das nehmen wir nochmal mit. Und dann machen wir dazu. Und fahren ab. Nach Izmir. Arrives tomorrow, departs tomorrow. Okay. I made a very special automobile. I think it was a driver of en route from Izmir. World's Fair Automation. Tomorrow before 7. Okay. Morgen. Dann müssen wir ja erstmal die Nacht hier verbringen. My master was not, as a rule, particularly interested in the fabulous locales and exotic cities we journeyed through. Athens was the exception that proved the rule. His sudden interest was not limited to the city. He fixed me with a look. Do you speak Greek? I had spent a glorious summer with a recontortionist who could do the most elegant arabesque penché. Oui, monsieur, I smiled sharply, repeating a few of the phrases taught me by my paramour. Monsieur Fogg blushed vermilion. That, Passepartout cleared his throat, is a very specialized vocabulary. Despite my master's grasp of ancient Greek, the demotic variant more commonly spoken on streets eluded him. We were reduced to asking for directions through a combination of mime, moi, opposite quotations from Homer, my master, and half-remembered flattery, more encore. We picked our way through the labyrinthine streets of the Plaka and up to the Acropolis. I gazed at the Partheon's columns. It was a magnificent sight, even in ruins. I could only imagine how it must have looked 2,000 years ago, the jewel in the crown of the Athenian Empire. It's exquisite, I breathed, interrupting Monsieur Fogg's silent reverie without quite meaning to. Alas, our quiet companionable moment did not return. As we stood admiring the architecture, I was rudely knocked into by a small man with thick glasses. I caught his arm in case he should fall, and he smiled and thanked me quickly. My apologies, he murmured. Too occupied by the sight, perhaps, I suggested cheerfully, and the man smiled. I've seen it many times before, though yes, it is most impressive. He put out his hand to shake. Dimitri Zophos, I'm the owner of a modest shipping freight company based here. Then perhaps you could help us, we're going around the world. Zophos smiled and pulled a pamphlet from his jacket that detailed the routes and timings of his company. The one of most interest was a boat sailing to Cairo, which was leaving the next day. I thanked him and promised to see him in the morning. He beamed and wobbled away. A man with sea legs, I observed. Monsieur Fogg, still gazing longingly at the Parthenon, did not reply. I doubt he noted a word of the entire exchange. Okay, wir sind jetzt mutig. Jetzt haben wir eine Route von Athen nach Kairo. Na, da können wir doch mal einen guten Schritt machen hier nach Kairo. You're quite the flamboyant type, I see. So, depart und dann nach Kairo. Arrives sogar noch today, ja dann los. Sweltering heat and mild seas. This will be a worrisome departing in... Achso, das war das Rot. Okay, go, 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 go. Wir haben keine Zeit. Wir fahren jetzt mit diesem Lastkahn von Athen nach Kairo. Finde ich cool. We found a way to Sophos ferry terminal in good time, and he waved a greeting to the owner who was visiting to inspect his fleet. Passepartout, he cried cheerfully. You will join with me and drink some retsina? Monsieur Fogg lifted an eyebrow but said nothing. I would, I replied, but I cannot. We must continue our journey. Sophos nodded. Of course, I will not delay you. We clambered aboard Sophos ferry, finding some space between barrels of olives and large packing crates that smelled of fish. Soon the rope slipped from its ring and we were away. Jetzt hat sich unsere Beziehung wieder ein bisschen erstärkt und verbessert. Weil wir nicht gesagt haben, hier, wir saufen mit dir Absinth oder was auch immer. Sondern indem wir gesagt haben, nee, wir haben keine Zeit, wir müssen hier um die Welt reisen. Wir haben noch $2.700 Pfund. Ich hoffe, wir kommen da noch ein gutes Stück mit. Ich würde jetzt gerne hier nach Suez und dann Suezkanal-mäßig weiterfahren. Das wäre so mein liebstes Stück. We were away. Next stop Cairo and the coast of Africa. The journey was mercifully brief, perhaps because the crew was so feckless. Was auch immer das heißt. Only at the last moment did they start to move, swarming the rigging and the masts and bringing us slowly to the bustling port of Alexandria. As we came ashore, I gasped at the sight of the towering lighthouse that blazed a beacon of incredibly golden light across the water. I had never seen such a structure. Clearly something was afoot in this town. The sailors gestured for us to follow. From the port it was a short carriage ride to Cairo. And we arrived in good time. So, mit dem Pferdewagen nach Kairo. The pocket altimeter should be quite valuable here. Okay, aber das machen wir erst morgen. Kann ich hier irgendwie kurz... So kann ich, glaube ich, Pause machen. So, das war's erstmal von 80 Days. Ihr könnt mal sagen, ob ihr das gut findet oder eher nicht so. Ob sich das vielleicht nicht so für ein Let's Play eignet oder ob ihr sagt, ey, das finde ich voll gut. Ich kann mir das super vorstellen und bin fast wie auf einer Reise hier durch die Welt, um die Welt. Sagt's mir mal in den Kommentaren. Ich werde mich danach richten und dann vielleicht eine weitere Folge aufnehmen. Ich danke euch sehr fürs Zusehen. Ich hoffe, ihr hattet viel Freude. Bis zum nächsten Mal bei 80 Days oder irgendwo anders. Macht's gut. Tschüss, Jan.